the last one. I think so, right? Am I the last one? Yeah. Okay. So I hope I can keep you entertained for a little longer. I heard this morning that Polish people really love Czech Republic, but Czech Republic doesn't really love Poland. So I hope I'm going to change that a little bit after this talk. So I'm going to talk about play, because this is kind of my thing. And I hope I'm going to inspire you also to think the same way and to think that play can be a tool for design and inspiring creativity. So this is me, when I could still fit in the washing machine. Is it? Oh. This is me in my studio. I currently live in Denmark, and I work in multidisciplinary projects. And this is very slowly changing. Maybe I'm not pressing hard enough. So yes, I'm from Warsaw, but I live in Denmark. I studied in Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts product design, and then I went to the Royal College of Art to do product design as well. And then I ended up at Lego, which was never the plan, but it was a super adventurous and exciting journey. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But maybe to some people's disappointment, I'm not working there anymore. But I did this for 3 years, and then I decided that it was time to change and to enter something new and to do a little bit more projects on my own. So I did a Fab Academy course, which is a course that's been taken from MIT in Boston and spread around the world, and it happens in many fab labs, like maker spaces around the whole world, and it's following the trend of like new technology and digital fabrication. So I was learning a lot about like how to program and do electronics and manufacture things in my own way. So now I do a little bit of that, so I do a little bit of education, and I work in the Fab Lab in Denmark, and I also run my own company, which is a grumpy studio. But about Lego, this is one of the sets that I designed, and I was really proud of it because I just made it as a joke when we needed a food truck for an amusement park, and then actually it made it through to become a product. And that's how I worked at Lego. I just came up with ideas with playful themes and stories, and then they were becoming real, and real children can play with them right now. So, and there is also a hot dog man there. So I can tell you a little bit more about Lego, as long as it's not a secret. Because Lego wants to keep their secrets. This is one of the biggest sets that I worked on, and it's a hospital, and there's loads of details. So like, basically the work at Lego was building and rebuilding and playing around, and I never really planned to be a toy designer, but somehow it really came naturally to me. So the fact that I was always doing playful projects and good with telling stories, it came very useful to design toys, and I was just playing with them like a kid, trying to find what would the kid play with afterwards. And you can see we didn't want to do a hospital that was a sad place where people get sick, so it was always like trying to find a place where you can play this like recovery play, and also there is a nursery room and a wet floor sign, so someone could slip on the wet floor and break their arm, and the ambulance and the helicopter had to come to help them. So yeah, there's a lot of details and story starters, like things that can inspire the creativity and role play, and that's how kids experience the world. And that's something that maybe we forget a little bit when we grow up. We forget how to play. So like my mission and my design is to make grown-ups remember how it is to play and experience that again. But the reason I finished working at Lego was because I achieved something that every designer really dreams about, which is becoming a Lego minifigure. So I became a very little one. And it's on the box, on the hospital, it's baby Ola. Now I'm producing another one. It's not the Czech food that I ate a lot. But yeah, it was a little one, and I felt like, okay, after this, I'm free to go now. I jumped over one. So I'm starting this company, and it's a little bit of an experiment because it's really linked to my own work. The idea is a little bit ironic. It's like that everybody wants to do nice things for nice people, and I just want to make things for grumpy people because everybody is a little bit bored, and it's just like maybe it's time to refresh and dedicate things to people who are bored and grumpy, and it's okay to be grumpy as well. And the way I work is I work a lot also with illustration, because I think illustration and drawing. The battery, oh, no, it's working now, sorry. So the illustration is a good way of visualizing your thinking, and there's no limitations, like you can draw anything. You can draw things that are flying and things that are not possible in the physical world. So that's why it's a good way of getting my thoughts out of the paper. And this is a drawing I made for an exhibition we were doing when I was studying still in London, and it was about the process of baking, and it was based in the kitchen scenario. So we were making different kitchen food projects there, but not about food, but mostly about following the process of production, as kitchen is becoming like a little home lab, like everybody makes experiments in the kitchen. And that's why it was interesting space for experimentation. And me and two of my friends focused on sausages, but we were making fake sausages from actual sausage casings for like that what they use in industry for really cheap collagen casings, and extruding their like plate of fake, basically flour, water, and pigments, making fake sausages. And we were just like investigating how the production would look like, but what else could we also do with it? Like, would there be something fun that we could do with it? So we started with exploring how they do it, and then we made meat darts and meat bowling as well. That was like off-site project. But the reason I'm telling you about this project, it was just like, when we were doing it, we just felt like, oh, we're playing, it's just stupid, like it doesn't bring us anywhere. But it actually had a new second stage. When in London Design Week, we created final objects, which are still very arty and handmade, but we extruded into those same casings. We used them as a mold to extrude like jasmonite, which is like a bio-resin, to create those vessels, and a candle holder. And it was exhibited with other projects that were taken also very early stage in the first exhibition, and then second time taken into another stage. And it was exhibited in London for the London Design Week. The exhibition was called The Last Supper at Christie's. So this is like the way. Also, I think when you start playing, you don't think about the next stage. You just open-end it. You don't think about the results. You think about the process and having fun while having it. And what I do is something similar, where I just want to start, and sometimes it's really difficult because you want to know what's going to come out of it. You don't want to be in this like position where nothing will come out of it. But I think it's nice to put yourself in that position where you have to just wait and see. And this is another project. It was my final project at the Royal College of Art, a lemonade cafe, which was inspired by childhood dreams. And it was also like an investigation of the drawing-like language, where the drawing becomes alive, so the illustration actually becomes a real life. And there was a lot of little details, including a popping it's not on this picture, but there was a balloon popper where you could pop the balloon, and just as something that you normally wouldn't do because it's not allowed to pop balloons, it's very naughty. But the balloon would have lemon smell inside, and it would just spread the lemon smell. And then that project was actually noticed by a company that that made it into a commercial commission. And me and my friend did an installation which was a lemonade machine, which was explaining to children how simple machines are made, and then on a very playful installation, and taking a lemonade making into like a whole new level, basically taking a very simple process of squeezing lemon into a glass of water and adding some sugar into a massive machine. That's very messy. But here you could see the cutting of the lemon. So there was a knife inside this spiral, and you could like turn it around, and it would cut the lemon, put it on the slide. Then the lemons would fall down onto a press, and then kids had to press it down. Then the juice would go collected into one of these containers, and the other one had water, and then you would pump them up to the measuring device, where it would flip like a Japanese fountain. So the right measurements would flip, and then mix the final liquid. And then at the end we had sugar, which was just free. So kids we just run out very quickly. So if we were doing it again, we would maybe change that. But yeah, that was another project. And this was actually in Prague a few years ago. I did an installation, and the theme was game, like to create a game that people could engage with. What I was thinking was that, and I think I noticed that at Lego as well, that when people play, when kids build from Lego, they are not so precious about their creations. They're happy to destroy them and build something new again. And destroying becomes part of learning. Destroying becomes part of making and the fun and the play. So I wanted to create something that would illustrate that idea and make people not so precious about their creations. So I built a catapult, and I wanted to fill in the room with sand, and then make people build sandcastles. So you would build a sandcastle on top of the plate, and then then stick the pins on top of the castle and knock them down with the catapult. But actually, nobody really wanted to build castles. Everybody wanted to destroy. So actually, destroying became more fun than building, and it was just fun to see like guests with like middle-aged men and just seeing their expression on their face, like a little boy, naughty boy. So you could sit inside the catapult and just knock things down. And this is one of the projects I did last year, and that was connected to the journey to the electronics and to including. I think that like the new technologies are so easy to come by now, and you can actually make your own. You can make your own electronics super cheap and super easy. So, and I think that it's just going to escalate super fast. So actually, we're going to have like products and like everything will be intelligent around us in the future. And this is something that I'm also like inspired by. Like, what if we have a table that's just becoming lazy and it doesn't want to stand up and the legs are just like wobbly? Or if you have a wardrobe that doesn't want to open in the morning because you have to sing a song to it, or things like just that you like. Because I don't think in these new technologies you have to design also everything super perfectly. Maybe you can find innovation in designing things that are actually vulnerable and bad, and actually making mistakes can be inspiring as well. But this is just like a little sculpture that I did to imitate the natural motion that objects can have. So things that we can read as humans in nature, like wagging of the tail of the dog that illustrates that the dog is happy. Is that something that would make us feel the same if it was just like a little dog robot that would wag its tail? So I made this little dog, and when you would stroke it, it would wag its tail, and I have a little video that we can play now. or I can play. Oh. Oh no. Okay, I'm not very good at this. Is it just gonna start? But it's then the next slide is going. Oh no. Sensitive Dog is an interactive sculpture. Just like a real dog, it reacts to human touch. Motion is a source of information, and technology allows us to imitate natural behavior. I am interested in the way we read motion in objects we interact with and how it can impact the future of design. I designed the electronics and embedded them inside the laser-cut body of the dog, split in two parts, the sensor part and the mechanical part. Both parts are connected with magnets, which allows you to take them apart and reprogram. The front panel of the dog contains a capacitive sensor that sends information to the motor. The speed of the motor increases when your hand is close, so when you stroke the dog, it wags its tail, just like a real dog. Yeah, so that's my little sensitive dog. And yeah, I think it's nice to like make technology not so perfect and not so far away from us. Like we can actually make it a bit more cozy and yeah, likable. And this is another project. It's combining ceramics and electronics. That's completely forbidden. You should not do that. But it was a fountain made of ceramics, which had some sensors that if you put your hands in it, then the water starts flowing in a different way. And it's just like also for me trying to combine electronics with things that have not been done before, and just playing around with it a little bit of things that you're not normally allowed to, like you shouldn't put your hands in the fountains. And this is a new project that I'm working on, which will be actually next week in Warsaw during the design week. Sorry, not in Warsaw, in Łódź in Poland during the design week there. And it will be a paper jungle. So some of the leaves will have some electronics in them, and they will be playing sounds. So also inviting people to interact and to play around in the space of the festival. And just to sum up, I feel like I just added this slide last minute, but I thought like there's no text in my presentation, so maybe it's actually good to add some text. So, so I feel like just to sum up the play, I really recommend to play because it gives you like this free experimentation opportunity, and it's important to get your hands dirty. Like office work can be very like clean, and you just don't get to do all these dirty things. And I think I love getting dirty, and that's where I feel the contact with material and inspiration through. And just don't think about what's going to come out of it. Just go for it, and you can also like try to interact with others, because that's our base of interaction with everything, like human contact. You can build and you can destroy. You should improvise, because that's also where you can find innovation, and through that you can find new stories and tell stories. You role play, imitate things, and just have fun. And that's my message to you. Thank you so much.
We thank you. No questions from the public again. So I would like to clear something on the beginning. We love you. It's not true that the Czech people doesn't like the Polish people. Okay? It's just about the Polish meaning, I think. By the way, I know that you call us Český Pepíček, right? Okay. It's true.
I never heard it, no.
I heard it. Anyway, it looks like that your work is almost just about the play. but it's not true. Are you able to compare a time you spent on the conceptual projects and the commercial projects? How you make a balance between these two disciplines?
Yeah, so it's difficult. So I have to also do boring things, but obviously I'm not going to talk about the boring things on the presentation. Yeah, I'm just like trying to get as many as possible and to commercial projects, which is not easy, but I think it's like I'm at the beginning of this journey of creating my own studio. So I hope there will be more coming, like commissions. Right now, usually I work. If it's not a big commercial project, then it's usually like a festival where there is an installation. So it's not like my main source of income at the moment. But hopefully it will become more and more bigger and yeah.
I understand it. Okay. Ještě dávám šanci na nějaký dotaz z publika. Najde se někdo? Já teda nic nevidím, tak musíte křičet. Jestli nikdo, tak děkuji především Ole. Thank you so much for your speech. Děkuju samozřejmě i vám, že jste si sem našli cestu, byli tady s námi celý den. Doufám, že se zase za rok tady sejdeme v tak krásném hojném počtu. Design Week Zlínský samozřejmě ještě zdaleka nekončí, takže tímto vás všechny zvu na zámek, kde bude afterparty a v 19 hodin by měla začít také komentovaná prohlídka k výstavě. A po afterparty bude afterparty, tak snad si to užijeme. Děkuju moc za pozornost.